All right, what's up, guys? Happy Friday. JMart defeats the laptop. The laptop was beating JMart for a while, but here we are. Technology. What's up, dude? Happy Friday. You got a big one tomorrow. Late night. When does the party really start, or did it already start?
So it's my roommate's birthday tomorrow too. It's my dad's birthday today. So I think we start the party at like 8 p.m. tonight, and then we see we see if this stops. I hope there's a break, but probably not.
Yeah, in case we're bearing the lead here, Georgia's hosting Texas tomorrow night. You're down there in Georgia, obviously. Is this the last game you're going to? Last home game?
It's my last home game. Yeah, I'm gonna try and find a way to get. I really want to go to Tech for that game. And try and find a way to that, and really try and get tickets if we end up hosting a playoff game too. But this is the last one on the schedule for me, so yeah, it's kind of insane.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that yet. Damn, yeah.
If you do win out, let's get into it, because Georgia, big picture, you win out, you'll be a top 4 seed. You'll represent the SEC in there, right?
We don't control our own destiny currently. Alabama hasn't lost in conference. A&M hasn't lost in conference. I believe if A&M loses to most likely Texas, we do get in. I think A&M's super weak on tiebreakers due to their in-conference schedule.
But we don't have the SEC East, SEC West. That's not even a thing anymore.
Yeah, it's just
one. I'm getting so old. I don't even know what SEC East, SEC West is going, because I'm like A&M, and they used to be both in the West, right? A&M and Alabama. Okay, At least I got that right. All right, wow. So this game does mean a lot then. Georgia does not control their own destiny. Alabama and A&M are 1 and 2 in the SEC. Texas has to win this game, correct? They cannot afford another loss here.
They definitely need this one. It could be argued that they're already kind of out of the picture with the way things are shaking up. So they really need a win like this to kind of push them back in. I think they have a tough end of their season, of course, with Georgia and A&M to close it out, but they really need to not look too far forward to A&M and really focus on the present. Yeah.
Right. They can win those last 2, still fall short potentially of making the SEC championship, but they would still be locked in there with only 2 losses. The spread's 6.5. Does that make you confident or nervous? Because I thought this was going to be closer to 3.5, 4.
Yeah, this should be a 4.5 point spread. It's a really tough one again because they left it within a touchdown. So obviously anything can happen. They're kind of like they really want you to bet on Texas. Georgia hasn't been a team that's been particularly sharp when it comes to spreads of this size. But yeah, it's a scary line. It's one that I didn't want to touch. I really see it more as like a 4.5 point spread. Texas is a good team. I think these are 2 teams that are really defensively oriented, and it should be low scoring. So I don't love 6.5, but I think what it is, they gave him the 3.5 and then gave him like the 3-point bump that you've been seeing a lot recently for the home team.
Yeah. So talk to me. Let's get X's and O's here. Texas has the ball. What should we be looking for?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to space it out horizontally a lot. Like you've seen a ton of screen passes from Arch Manning to Ryan Wingo out on the side. Obviously, Georgia will be prepared to defend against screen pass. It is kind of our offensive identity as well. That's what makes this matchup so interesting, is I do see Sarkisian and Boba as pretty similar offensive minds. They like to call games very similarly. I see Arch Manning and Gunnar Stockton in their current forms as very similar quarterbacks. I think Arch has a little more downfield ability and a little more running ability, but he's not as polished yet. Texas offensive line is definitely shaky. Obviously, all true freshmen up there, or at least first-year starters. The issue is I don't think Georgia has the front 7 to necessarily punish Texas. Only 11 sacks all season. I think I was looking at it earlier. I think it ranks 128th in the FBS.
Wow.
Which isn't beautiful at all. So yeah, I think you're looking at Texas really trying to stay ahead of the sticks. They want to be in those 3rd and shorts to be able to kind of run RPOs with Arch Manning's legs, but they're really going to try and use Arch Manning as a runner. I think that's where Georgia's been weakest this season. That's where Georgia's been weakest historically, is dealing with mobile quarterbacks. Jackson Dart killed them last year. Jalen Milroe killed them last year. Ty Simpson killed them this year. So you're going to look at Texas really trying to space Georgia out, make them have to deal with the run without focusing on the run. And yeah, it'll be interesting. Georgia hasn't been the sharpest defense, but they do have talent. They've been why?
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I've been watching them, and it feels like they're not as fast. I mean, all obvious things, right? They're not getting after the quarterback. They're not forcing turnovers at a high enough rate. It's just sloppy. What do you think the reason is? Can it be fixed here in the last few weeks of the season?
Yeah, so I mean, I fully blame Glenn Schumann. I think the play calling's been relatively weak. Granted, to his defense, Our secondary is a little banged up. We have guys hurt. The safety position's weak. The corner position's relatively weak. We're on to second and third strings at a lot of those positions. But what you're seeing a lot and what's killing Georgia is Georgia's been typically a team that runs man defense. They've manned up, played their game like that. That's how they won those 2 national championships was we have better corners than you have receivers. We're going to man up and make you beat us. Using a little more zone this year, you can tell it makes their DBs a little uncomfortable. They really don't know how to navigate zone as well. You've seen a lot of like busted plays just because people don't know when to pick up a zone and or leave a zone. That's been what's killing Georgia. I think Texas knows that. I think Texas is going to look to exploit that. Georgia's been kind of vulnerable to the big play all season. Arch Manning has the arm to get the ball there. I think you're going to see Texas try and lull Georgia in with a lot of like short passes, runs, RPOs, then try and get that deep pass later in the game.
What about on the other side? Has Gunner won you over? Because he certainly is winning national media members over. He's definitely having a good season, probably better than you expected statistically, but I know you watch every snap. So what are you saying?
I mean, yeah, for the record, Gunner has ridiculous weapons this year. He's got 2 like tight end 1 caliber tight ends. Love that. I don't think Lawson Lucky is playing this game. He got rocked in that Mississippi State game. Like it was an ugly hit, got killed, targeting, all that. I doubt he's playing today, but Gunner has weapons all over the field. Georgia's going to, again, run an offense similar to Texas, get those weapons with the ball in space as quick as possible, screen passes, short passes. I think Georgia's key here is really going to be finding a way to use Oscar Delp more. He's kind of not been that existent in the offense at the tight end position. He's a guy people saw as one of the best tight ends in college football coming into the season. I think they're going to really have to find a way to get him the ball a lot. Obviously, Texas defensively is incredible. It's been their backbone all season. It's been a major talking point all season. Georgia's going to have to make them uncomfortable, but at the same time, Georgia will play their own offense. Georgia really doesn't change the way they play based off the defense they're playing against. It's going to be a lot of running. It might be a little boring at first, and it definitely will be flat at first, in my opinion. But Georgia's key is going to be kind of feeling the defense out early, seeing what's going to be there in the second half.
Cannot wait. That's the one game that gets the headlines at night. And then the SEC, we have another elimination game for Oklahoma here, as Oklahoma can win out and have a good enough resume, especially if they beat Alabama this week. So Oklahoma, it's going to feel like a playoff game for them. Alabama can afford one more loss. With that in mind, Alabama's a 6.5-point favorite. Talk to me here. Is Mateer back? Let's start with when Oklahoma has the ball. Mateer has been battling injuries, starting to get better. You know more than me. Talk to me. How is he going to look against Alabama's defense?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a tough matchup. Alabama's been pretty punishing defensively. Have made like Diego Pavia didn't look great. Gunnar Stockton didn't look great. They've kind of been running through really good quarterbacks, in my opinion. But Mateer does look a lot healthier. He looked really solid against Tennessee. He looked decent. They win that game pretty handedly. It was a lot of him, but it was also Oklahoma defensively. Oklahoma is starting to really come together defensively. They're starting to look a little more punishing. That's what Brett Venables wants as a defensive.
I was going to say, right? He was a defensive coach, and then it's been an offensive explosion since he's been there. But now the defense is starting to catch up, you're saying?
Yeah, no, and I think the defense really is going to be the key for them. That being said, kind of love the matchup between a Brett Venables defense versus a Ryan Grubb, Kalen DeBoer offense that you saw at Washington. It was unstoppable. You're seeing it at Alabama. It's the same offense, but no one really knows how to stop it. It's a lot of passing down the field and then hitting you with zone runs. It stretches a defense thin. You're going to need Oklahoma to put up an incredible defensive performance on the road to even stay in this game. And then on top of that, in my opinion, you're really going to need Mateer to be perfect. He's made some pretty bad mistakes throughout this season. His decision-making definitely isn't the best. He's almost like a worse version of Baker Mayfield, which you don't really like to hear. But I think he can get better. I don't know if he's that right now, but maybe he's come back from injury. He's a little rusty. Maybe he'll keep getting better every single week. If he does do that, this game's definitely within one possession.
Yeah, Oklahoma's got to survive the first quarter in Alabama, because if you can make it, then it can get a little interesting. But Alabama, you're right, that offense, it's going to blitz you. Well, let's rip through your 5 games because I don't want to keep you too long.
I only have 4 this week. I do have 5, actually. I forgot about that. I do have 5. One's a weird one, but I do have 5.
We'll go through your 5, and then if you don't touch on a couple other games on my mind, then I'm gonna I'll ask you a question about that. Then I want to finish with a couple college basketball questions, and then we'll get you out of here. So go for it.
So I'll start with one. It's not a full game spread. It's the weird one. It is Georgia, Texas. Taking Texas plus 1.5 in the first quarter. I think it's like minus 114 is the line. I just don't see either team necessarily scoring in that first half. It's a weird line. I really give the favor more to Texas to score. I can see it being like a 7-7, 3-3 first quarter. Again, I project Georgia to come out relatively flat. You're going to hear the complaints that Bobo's calling the offense wrong. I've heard it all season. Keeps winning games. I keep not caring. He's going to come out, feel out the Texas defense. This is a great Texas defense. Don't be shocked if Georgia has less than 100 yards of total offense in the first quarter. I'm expecting it. And realistically, I'm not like expecting Texas to score a ton. I just think that they have a better chance of scoring. I think that this is one that, like, yeah, I see it either being tied or Texas winning at the end of the first quarter. If I'm wrong, Texas will definitely be covering their half line, which I think would be like 3.5. But yeah, I really like Texas. Just keep it close in the first quarter. It's been a line I've been looking at taking against Georgia for a couple weeks now. I think this is the perfect time to use it with such a high game spread.
I like it. All right, cool.
Yeah. Moving on, my favorite game of the week, my one that's almost, we talked about how I've been going with the predictable ones, kind of winning off of like the ones that look like the books, kind of like trap plays. Going against it this time, I'm taking Duke minus 4.5 at home against Virginia. Duke's 5-4. Virginia's ranked at 8-2. Feels like a line where the average person would say, I'm going to go Virginia. I win that. Duke has been borderline unstoppable in the ACC. They've been there's a reason that they are in a position to potentially win the ACC.
I was going to say they control their own destiny, right?
They do, and that's a very interesting thing, especially coming off a pretty rough loss against UConn last week. They didn't look good. That's why I'm kind of shocked they're even favored here, but they're favored for a reason. Virginia doesn't have necessarily a good win. I can't really find one on their schedule. Florida State wins cool, but they're not really in the conversation. Duke does. Like, I've seen Duke play against really good teams. They keep showing up in big games. They're defensively elite. Darius Mensah at quarterback is phenomenal for them coming out of Tulane. And Virginia does feel like they're kind of fading a little bit. They only scored 9 points last week at home against Wake Forest. Now you're asking them to go on the road against a really good Duke defense and score enough to win this game. I don't see it happening. I think Duke can win this one by 7-10.
All right, quick 30-second interlude because you made me think of something. In the world where we have all this content that we can all consume, sports are still lapping everybody in the most unpredictable things. Because Florida State beats Alabama to start the season. And now we're sitting here in the middle of November and you're like, UConn just beat Duke, but Duke is dominating the ACC and they're going to control their own destiny. I'm like, yeah, what about that Florida State team? You're like, no, it's going to be Georgia Tech most likely versus Duke in the ACC. How is Duke going to brand them? Excuse me. How is the ACC going to brand themselves moving forward? Hey, come look at us. Our ACC champion is Duke and they lost to UConn. And we're not talking about basketball. You don't have to answer that, but it just came to my mind. So, all right.
No, I mean, I do think it's a fair point. I think it's the only thing the ACC has going for them right now is that there is more parity in that conference than any other conference. In maybe the Big 12 has more, but you don't know what's going to happen in the ACC. I don't know what's wrong there. I kind of laugh at how much money they paid Florida State and Clemson to be like the flagship schools. Neither of them are even in the conversation this year. Kind of hilarious. And the other funny part is Duke could not make the college football playoff and win the division. This has been a big talking point that there's a chance that they would not be one of the top 5 conference winners if they were to win their conference.
So they'll win and then end up on the road,
or they could entirely end up not in the college football playoff, and then there is no ACC representative. If like a North Texas ends up being 11-1 and looks really dominant, they could get in over 8-4 Duke. If I think the main team right now I want to say is like Memphis or Tulane, or it's South Florida. South Florida is ranked right now. Duke isn't. They're above Duke currently. That means only one other team has to step up, win a conference, and then they're in.
What a weird world we're living in here. All right. So with that being said, you got Duke minus 4.5. Next game.
So I've found a couple. I've gone back to my comfort zones. I'm going Ole Miss minus 11.5 at home against Florida. Florida looked really good against Georgia. I have no complaints with the way they played Georgia. They looked solid. They looked great. Georgia didn't look great. That being said, Ole Miss is going to win this. Ole Miss is going to come in. They're going to play their brand of football. It's been working all year. It even worked against Georgia in their one loss. At the end of the day, you can't count on Florida to have 2 productive weeks in a row. I don't think it happens. I really like Georgia Ole Miss to just win this game, probably by 2+ touchdowns. Trinidad Chambliss is probably the least talked about person in college football that should be a part of the Heisman conversation. For some reason, he's not. I get he missed 2 games to start the season, but no one's really been playing at his level besides maybe like a Ty Simpson. I think Ole Miss wins that game. I always feel comfortable just betting on Ole Miss. I feel good about that.
I would. Yeah, by the time we're finished at the end of the year, I'll go back and look at your bets and be like, I think 90% of the time you're just betting against Florida. I can just pretty much count a bet for
that. No, yeah, and then I'm going back to another one I've done in the past. I have Tennessee minus 40.5 versus New Mexico State. Tennessee's coming off a really awful loss. Like that Oklahoma game was brutal. That was the season basically. They're done. Like that kind of ended the season. Some might say that they have nothing to play for anymore. I'd say they absolutely have. They're coming off a bye week. They're going to just demolish New Mexico State. The one concern here is that I did this last time with UAB. Tennessee definitely let their foot off the gas at the end, let UAB come back in, clutch it up. Don't think that happens this week. They have so much anger built up. This is like a punching bag meeting Floyd Mayweather. I think Tennessee can just stomp all over him. And then finally, again, another one of my favorite wagons all season, Georgia Tech. Now, they are on the road. It is 16.5 points as a line. They are playing Boston College.
And that is the worst coach. God, is he a jackass, Bill O'Brien.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God. No, I wanted to take SMU. I didn't know anything about anything. I was like, right before the game, I was like clicking the button. I'm like, should I just take SMU? Because I saw a little press conference of Bill O'Brien yelling at a reporter as you're like, anyway, so go ahead. Georgia Tech, I'm with you on that. Minus 16.5.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not a read outside of the fact that Boston College blows. Georgia Tech's a good team. You look at those, like the only argument here is what Tech hasn't blown out a ton of opponents, but they did last week. The last game they played, they blew out Syracuse. So, yeah. I mean, really hard to make the argument that they aren't trending in that direction. I think since getting that loss, they kind of understand they really need to show who they are. And they also understand they can't like screw around anymore. Like they have that loss. They can't lose another one. They're out of the ACC picture. I expect them to come out and dominate Boston College. Boston College really isn't doing anything productive on either side of the ball. So, yeah.
I like it. All right, Texas for the first quarter, Duke minus 4.5, Ole Miss minus 11.5, Tennessee minus 40.5, and then Georgia Tech minus 16.5. 2 quick games I wanted to get your thoughts on. Notre Dame's at Pittsburgh. That's essentially a playoff game for Notre Dame. They win this one, and they're going to be in. Do they win this game? What's up with Pittsburgh?
I mean, Pittsburgh's really solid. I wish I knew more about them. They've kind of come out of nowhere on me a little bit. I know Eli Holstein isn't starting anymore, I don't believe. They have another quarterback. But they're winning games. I really wish I knew more. What I will say is I saw the line at 12.5. Notre Dame is on the road. It's kind of sitting right there in front of you to take Pitt. It really does feel like it kind of is the right choice there. That being said, Notre Dame's look pretty sharp coming out really ever since losing those first 2 games. They can't afford to drop another one. I don't really expect them to drop this one. But could this game stay within 2 touchdowns? Absolutely. I think Pitt's a solid team. They've been winning games pretty solidly. I could see it covering, but I lean towards Notre Dame here.
Gotcha. And then last one is for tonight. Everything can get kind of screwed up tonight if Oregon lays an egg. They're going to host Minnesota. We thought that Clemson's playing Louisville, which was supposed to be a great game, except Clemson is just a disaster. Still probably a good game if you enjoy watching college football. But for playoff purposes, Oregon's hosting Minnesota. I'm not really asking you if Oregon's going to win or the spread, or you probably would have made it one of your bets. But I wanted to ask you about Oregon because I think I watched like 90% of that Iowa game. That was like one of the best games last week of the year. I came away from the game like more impressed with Oregon, even though it was an ugly win. I'm curious on your thoughts because that last drive of the game with Dante Moore was just like spot on. If you had, I'm framing Oregon in the context of if you had to decide right now who are the best couple of teams in college football and how do you project it when we're about 6 weeks from now?
Yeah, I mean, Oregon, again, I was singing their praise for probably 6 weeks up until that Indiana game and then kind of left it alone. I think what we've been seeing is Dante Moore, when he is playing his game, his brand of football, is truly the best football in college football, or best quarterback in college football. He's
Yeah.
very polished. The ball comes out of he throws the ball incredibly well. He's sneaky mobile too. Like he does navigate the pocket super well, and he does seem composed at times. But when he's not, he's really bad, and he makes the wrong decision very easily, makes the decision too quick. Everything falls apart. You can see him panic. And I think that's what happened in the Indiana games. He just panicked. Every single drop back, he panicked. He didn't like take time to compose himself. And yeah, it's almost like a Jekyll and Hyde effect with him. And you saw that in that Oregon game. Like Oregon would have a drive where they looked unstoppable, and then they'd come out the next one and look, and you'd watch them, and you'd be like, "How did this team just score a touchdown? Like they can't do anything. This is as ugly as it gets." And so I don't think Oregon has the consistency to win a national championship. Could they go deep into the playoffs? Yes. Do I think that they are like you look at Ohio State last year, they really didn't have they had maybe one game where they looked like ugly, but outside of that, it was just composure, composure, composure. Oregon doesn't necessarily have that. And I do think that also stems from the coach. You've seen Dan Lanning do this before. He's not great in big games. He did it against Georgia in his first coaching game, did it against Indiana, and then I'd call Iowa a pretty high stakes game. He kind of like dropped the ball a little in that game. Oregon for me probably sits a little bit outside of the top five, maybe sixth place, just simply due to the consistency. I don't see it from them. I like teams like Ole Miss more. I like Georgia more. I like Bama more. I like Ohio State more, and I like A&M more. I do think you give Oregon
No
a
SEC bias whatsoever on your part.
No, but legitimately, like I've seen more. I mean, the only one I'd argue out of those is A&M, but A&M's undefeated, so it's hard.
That's my favorite team is A&M. I love A&M. I like the coach. I like the attitude. I love the quarterback. Ever since they beat Notre Dame that late Saturday night game,
It was a good game, yeah.
I'm
No, like
riding
I
A&M.
don't know, like I don't know who to put Oregon over out of that group, and then Indiana shows up, and Indiana probably
Oregon.
has to love Oregon. So
I was gonna say, so it sounds like you have a top five, and then you have the Oregon, Indiana, and all the Big 12 schools lumped in there. Are you watching any college basketball? Because tomorrow night, I know Texas is playing Georgia, but can they just change the time of this game? Because UConn's playing BYU at 7 o'clock, and
are you serious? Damn.
have
I
you
don't
you know
watch that.
anything about this? I want to know if you know anything about this AJ DeBansta kid from BYU, how he ended up at BYU. I just read the article on ESPN today. It's kind of awesome. It's like a throwback to a kid just wanting to be big man on campus. Yeah, I know he got paid, but there's no way there's the most money at BYU that there is. Oh, really? All right.
Those Mormons have money. Those Mormons have money. I don't know. No,
Why do
I
you think
think
he went? I can't wait for this game. I want to talk about UConn in a second, but tell me your thoughts on him. Is he as good? Is he the best player in college basketball? Do you think he's going to live up to the hype, or are you a little? I got to see something.
I mean, for context, college basketball is chock full of just superstars this year. The Boozer twins are phenomenal. I've loved what I've seen from Carmelo Anthony's son. He's looked really, really solid at Syracuse. You have guys you haven't even seen play yet, like Gilbert Arenas' kid isn't playing currently. He's supposed to be incredible. But yeah, AJ, what's Dibantasa? Dibansa?
I might be getting him wrong. I watch a lot of the games with mute, so
I
who
need
knows?
to learn it, but I think he probably presents outside of the Boozer twins, who I just love, the most well-rounded game. Like I've watched the Boozer twins play, and they're engines on both sides of the ball. They're as good defensively as they are offensively, and they're really good at both. And they have projectable frames, which AJ also has. I think he projects incredibly well. But as a current product, I like the Boozer twins more. I've liked both of them the same. I know we were getting told the entire way through that I think it was Cam
Cameron.
Boozer was the better one. I've watched them play. I really haven't seen that much of a gap between them, if there is any at all. They've looked as good as each other. I'd say Cam's arguably less efficient. But yeah, I like BYU. I think that what I like about AJ making that decision is it shows a priority in learning some defense. Like BYU's been a program that has always been pretty solid defensively. Going to a program like that to develop is one that isn't gonna they aren't gonna sell out to make you a superstar pro athlete. They're gonna teach you how to play college basketball. And I think that also probably means something to him. He will come out of this as a better defender than a guy who's going to Duke or a guy who's going to UNC. And I think that'll be interesting to see how that plays out at the professional level. But
Yeah, oh, sorry, keep going.
But I was gonna say, like, I think the offensive side of the ball is there. It's fully there. I mean, he's a freak athlete. We'll see how he keeps playing, but he's been incredible. I really expect that to continue. And yeah, it's really cool to see like one of the top guys in this class not be just the son of some famous athlete, because it's like every single one of them is, and it's really cool to see like someone new show up.
This kid's gonna be great. The coach for BYU was an assistant in the NBA for a while, so they really run an NBA program. I think he was with the Suns for a minute under with Durant and Booker. Durant was a big piece in getting the kid to go there. But the biggest piece, if you read the article on ESPN, is he went there. Like, the crowd is just the fans at the football game last year, like, which is just really cool to think about. Like, when you're trying to find some good stories in this world, that's pretty cool that you have a tapped in fan base at a football game. Like, we need this kid so bad and we want him over. So he's there. But this UConn team has a lot of familiar faces if you've been watching UConn over the past couple of years. Any hot takes on this solo ball character? He's going to be the leading scorer. I love his. You don't love him? The left.
I love his game. It's I've been really happy seeing his turnaround, because I was definitely underwhelmed last year. I kind of wanted more out of him. His role was small, and it felt like he wasn't doing a lot. He's pretty great now. I have no complaints now compared to like what I saw last year.
Yeah, and they got Carabin back, so they're going to play in Boston tomorrow. That's fascinating. And then the last thing, and then I'll let you go, because Maryland's playing Marquette. I think I'm setting myself up for disaster. I don't know why I'm doing this, because Georgetown beat the crap out of us. It just wasn't great. Any scouting report on Marquette? Because I know they lost their best player. Kovic went to the NBA. Shaka's still over there, right? Do we have anything I need to know about here before this game starts?
I know they're not ranked, and it does feel like the first time in a while that Marquette a little bit dropped the ball and didn't maybe come in as polished as they have in the past. But Marquette's Marquette. Normally, what is it? They kind of just run and gun. They're going to put up a ton of points on you. That's kind of
he's going to press it, and he's going to press in that stupid 1-2-2
and the whole game. And then once he gets the ball, they're just going to shoot. And they like scoring points, and they're pretty good at it. So it's always a scary matchup. We have Georgia Tech tonight in basketball.
Is that in Athens?
It is in Athens, and I can't go, which sucks, because they put it. It's at 9 p.m. for some reason. I genuinely don't know why, but I'll be keeping up with it. This Georgia team's been super fun, super dynamic. If you haven't seen the dunk yet, Dominique Wilkins' son had an absolutely absurd dunk in the last game we played. So it's been a fun season so far for Georgia.
The college basketball, as long as you're not betting, I think it's so funny. I've turned into a complete square. I spent my entire life gambling every game I possibly could, every bet. That's like every word out of my mouth is, you want to bet $5 on this? You want to bet like everything? And now I'm just like, fuck, dude, I need to just imagine that nobody's betting on these games and the refs aren't doing anything, because I don't know, we're not going to talk about it today, but more betting scandals coming out in college basketball. And it's like, I just, there'll be zero betting from me, and I'm just going to hope that everything's on the up and up. But
did you see the
baseball
stuff? Yeah.
They're going to put that guy away for 50 years. They're like, hey, listen, nothing to see here. Now, it is interesting that story comes out a month after the World Series, and the NBA is dealing with opening night, and Cash Patel parading around. Couldn't find him this time. But hey, that's it. Life's all about who you know, not what you know, right?
Oh yeah, 100 fucking 50.
As you're trying to, not to put all your personal life out there, but as you're graduating and figuring out what you're gonna do for work, life is all about who you know. So
yeah, 100%.
All right, brother. Thank you. Enjoy the game tomorrow, and definitely enjoy it. Hopefully, your everything works out for you. Good luck for everybody betting on the games, and then I'll be here Sunday. And got lucky yesterday. I had the under in the Patriots. And it's like one of those games where you got to count your blood. It's like under 27.5 points, and then under 40, whatever it was. One by
the spread hit by 0.52, right? Just because,
The Jets suck. Patriots are good. I hate to say it, but Drake May is really good. I'll talk about that probably more on Sunday. But you don't like him, or you do like him?
I love Drake May. Oh my god! If you hate Drake May,
He's on the Patriots. If he could be somewhere besides the Patriots, it'd be nice that he has a big family and everybody gets along. That's wonderful. Blah blah blah. But just not with the Patriots.
No, that's my king. I wish he wasn't on the Patriots too, though. I fucking hate that.
All right, brother. Enjoy your night. See you guys.
Let's see ya.